I talk at great length on my channel about the benefits of earning an MBA degree. But in most of my videos, I also make sure to stress that an MBA is not some kind of guarantee for career success. Your decision to get an MBA, as well as how much you should spend to pursue one, should be entirely circumstantial. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that an MBA is a great idea for a lot of people, but it could also be a pretty bad idea for others. And in this video, I'm gonna talk about the latter 3 reasons why pursuing an MBA might be a bad decision for you. And before I even get started, if you're new to the channel, my name is Richard Walls, and I'm here to help you with career development and personal finance. And if that sounds like something you would be interested in, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below along with the notification bell so you get notified of when I post new content. All right, so let's talk about the reasons an MBA is a bad idea. Reason number 1 is if you have very little work experience. Now, I consider work experience to really be anything less than 2 years. That being said, my recommendation tends to lean more towards the 5-year mark. I think 5 years is a good sweet spot of having had enough experience that going to get the MBA is going to be beneficial, not only from the standpoint of the content that you learn, it's going to be more relatable, but when you exit the MBA program, you're not going to be at a major disadvantage from a work experience, or I should say years of work experience standpoint. Fact of the matter is, experience is heavily weighted in hiring decisions that companies make. And it can also be used by HR to determine what might be an appropriate salary. Even if you have an MBA, you have to consider the idea that there are a lot more MBA degree holders than there ever have been before. So if, and potentially when, having an MBA is no longer going to be a major advantage, what else is going to set you apart? And the answer is it's going to be mostly your work experience. Specifically, the type of experience that will be relevant to roles that you end up applying to, the number of years of experience, and the achievements that you've had in that period of time. Now, as a hypothetical, and likely a reality because I get this question quite a bit. If you get your MBA immediately after completing an undergraduate degree, and this is a question I get often, is if it's worth doing, the answer is no. The unfortunate truth is that you're not going to be any more qualified for any role other than an entry-level role and the salary that comes with it. And that's precisely because you won't have had any kind of real, substantial, I would say, longer-term work experience. So an MBA, in my opinion, is going to be quite a bit less valuable that early in your career, if you even started your career, compared to later when you've had some years of experience under your belt and you're looking to transition to another role or another company. The MBA degree is going to be the complement to your work experience that's going to give you an edge in landing the role. Second reason to not get an MBA is if you don't have a clear goal or reason as to why you're getting it. If you're going to invest time and money into pursuing an MBA, you'll need to think very strongly about what that return on investment is going to be. And that means you've got to have some kind of plan. Are you wanting to transition to a career that perhaps offers you a better income? Maybe you're looking for a career with better work-life balance, better job satisfaction perhaps. If so, then you need to know or have an idea of 2 to 3 roles that you might be interested in. And from that, you'll then want to look at 2 to 3 companies in an industry that you have an interest in. This way you can narrow your focus a little bit more so that as you're doing your research, you can look at specific roles, you can look at specific companies that have those roles, and you can use a website like Glassdoor or Indeed, and you can get a better idea of what the salary expectations are, the benefits, the work-life balance, the culture, all these different things. Whichever of those elements are most important to you, you can explore that in advance and see if what you should be expecting in terms of salary and all these different benefits is going to be worth the money and time that you spend in an MBA program. And also see if the school that you're looking at or exploring is going to give you the best chance of landing a role that you might be interested in, helping you make that transition. Don't just go and get an MBA because maybe you don't like your job. The more money you have to spend out of pocket to earn that MBA, the more important it is that you have a plan to get a good return on that investment. Now, the third reason is if you already are a high income earner and or you are incredibly proficient at networking. A good rule of thumb is that if you are already making or very close or on the way to, in the near term, to making $100,000 a year, and this is all in US dollars here in the US, the upside you are going to get from an MBA is going to be minimized. Now, if you look at the average expected salaries of graduates from the best MBA schools, you're looking at $150 to $200K. And that's if the graduate ends up going to a large company, say possibly in tech or a consulting firm. Now, although the salary is quite high, it also happens to be equal to about what you're going to be spending on the program in the first place. But even taking a step back from that, the salary expectations are going to have to be adjusted a little bit lower if you're looking at an MBA program that's perhaps not in that top tier. For most reputable MBA programs outside of the tier 1 programs, you're going to be looking at an average starting salary of around $100,000. Now, of course, those programs tend to cost not quite as much, they tend to cost less. But again, if you're investing money in your education, you should be seeing some kind of return on your investment by way of an incremental uplift in your salary. If you're already earning good money, then an MBA is not going to do that much more for you. And I'd also argue that if you had the wherewithal to get to that point in your career and earn that kind of income in the first place, without having the MBA, you've got a pretty decent chance of continuing that trajectory without the MBA. And part of continuing that growth is networking. In my observation, networking is probably the most important determinant of career success. Generally speaking, someone who is an average worker but who is excellent at networking is going to have greater long-term career success than someone who is an excellent worker but perhaps average in networking. Ideally, be excellent in both areas and you can see your career grow quite dramatically over the long term. And in many cases, without the need of an MBA or any kind of advanced degree. That's not to say that MBA degrees can't still open up doors or help make it easier to make certain transitions, but an MBA degree is not the be-all, end-all. It's a consideration of your job experience, your ability to network, your education. All of this is considered when hiring managers are making their decisions. So folks, let me know down in the comments below if you have thought about pursuing an MBA and whether you decided to go forward with it or not and how you came to that decision. I'm especially interested in those that ended up not pursuing it. I think that would be valuable for my audience to see other people's logic behind that and why they decided to go that route. And for more content around affordable online MBAs, you're going to want to check out this video here, and you can learn about the decision-making framework that I myself used to make my decision by checking out this other video here. So folks, hope this helps. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you around.